So here we have the SE 100 double door stove, traditional looking stove, double door version this one, they do it with single door version as well. A few things just to point out, you obviously always get a glove with a stove, always gets hot, so just bear that in mind. And this is also the ash pan tool, but also the riddle tool as well. So your ash pan is located underneath, which can be removed using that tool there. And also then it also fits the riddle on this stove. So the riddle is located at the side with these two knobs on the side, and then the grate can be open and closed internally just by rocking it backwards and forwards. If you're burning wood, you need to make sure the grate is closed. Wood likes air from above and not from underneath, and vice versa. If you're burning smokeless coal, you need to make sure the grate is open so the airflow comes from underneath, and then the ash can obviously drop down. And as ash gets too much, it can then obviously be riddled to do that. Two air controls on this stove. There's one at the bottom here, which is your primary air, allows air through these holes into underneath the ash pan and around the ash pan for air coming underneath. And your secondary air control on the top, which then obviously allows air for your air wash system coming from above, so washing down the glass to keep the glass clean. If you're burning wood, you close your primary air control and regulate with your secondary, and vice versa. If you're burning smokeless coal, you then obviously open your grate slots up, you then regulate with your primary with probably a little bit of secondary just to make sure the glass is staying clean. So we'll get this stove burning with just a little bit of kindling. So we just have a flamer fire lighter, so natural wood wool. These are great really because they a lot of flame and heat, very little smoke, so really get the fire lighting and going very quickly. So with good crisscross pattern of kindling, and then ideally you'd have a few small logs over the top. As this is a new stove, we're just going to do a bit of kindling just to get a bit of heat into the system, get it to warm up nicely and get it going. So to light the stove, both air vents fully open, that's to the right as the little arrow indicates on the air controls. A match onto your flamer, light very quickly. And then close the doors, not fully, but just so they're located shut, just allowing a little bit more air into the stove. Like I said, it's brand new, so we want to eradicate any moisture that could build up, which could form condensation on the glass. And obviously then just get everything warmed up. Once the stove starts to get going nicely, we can then look at closing the door and then regulating with whichever fuel we're going to carry on with. So we'll just let it get going. As the fire obviously does warm up, first few fires, the paint needs to cure to the stove body, so that in itself will give off quite an odour. It can also look like there's smoke coming off the stove, it's vapour coming off the paintwork, which then can fill the room, a bit of a haze maybe, sting your eyes slightly. So it's nothing bad, but just ventilate the room over the first few fires and build up gradually. So don't have a massive fire straight off. Start off with kindling with a couple of small logs, let it go out, and then each time add an additional log so it just burns that little bit longer, gets going a bit better, and just builds up over a period of time. So we'll just let this get going a little bit more and we'll come back to it as it starts to get going. So fire's getting a bit more established now, so we're going to look at closing the door. If we did get any condensation form on the glass, I would then just open the door, allow a little bit more air in again, just to push all that up the chimney and get rid of it. So a little bit just starting on the side there, but we'll just see how it carries on. And then obviously controlling wise, so like I say, we've got a bit of kindling burning, so we wouldn't need primary air control at all, so we've closed that off. And then you'd look to regulate the burn by closing your secondary, just so that you're not having a mad fierce fire, but a bit more of a slower burn, hotter. But obviously you need a couple of logs on there at the beginning just to start establishing a good hot fire bed. As you can see, we've got a bit of condensation again, so we'll just open these up again. And don't be worried if your fire bricks go a little bit black, that's unburnt carbons as the stove's quite cool at the beginning. So once it gets up to hot and good hot temperature, then you'll start to burn those off inside. Now fuel, so like we said, to burn wood, you close the grate and regulate with your secondary at the top and Burning smokeless, you open the grate and regulate with the primary at the bottom. So when you're burning your fuels, you don't mix wood and smokeless at the same time. The remaining moisture in the wood can sometimes mix with the sulphur in the smokeless and create acids which can attack the glass and the internals of the stove. You don't want that, so you want always complete combustion, so you want the air coming in the correct direction. To do this makes your stove run cleanly and efficiently.